Okay. Okay, as Luann said, we're as ready as we're ever going to be today. So here we are. We're talking again. Watch out. Um, we're just two old women that just get on here and talk because we don't watch soaps.
We do not. We have enough drama in our lives. We do not need the drama of The Young and the Restless or As the World Turns or
My world has the world flips and flops like a big old pancake.
like a dead fish. I mean, a fish out of water.
And before we get started, a word from our sponsor. When you can't get to your friend's house for some adult beverages to relax, when you can't have a party, when things just feel off, try our new product, Bitch Be Gone. It's easy to use. One or two squirts, and the air smells fresh, and life feels freer.
And you've cleared out all the negativity.
Not yet. Hang on. I got to do this side. Get out of here. Mother and I were talking this morning and was having some difficulties in the kitchen. Things just were not going smoothly. And I said, you know what? I said, there is a man in this house and he's been popping up now for 2 months. I guess I'm gonna have to clean the house again. She goes, oh, thank God. I've been seeing things out of the corner of my eye for 2 months. And I thought I was going crazy. I said, no, we got some activity going on here. I got to take care of it. I don't know if it followed me home from a party or what. So
That's likely.
So
So
maybe we need another spray that's bitch be gone and son of a bitch get out of here.
that's a good plan. You
Set-
should always protect yourself against the negativity. Uh, I'm going to be burning some Palo Santo. So there you go.
I'm gonna be drinking heavily.
I do have something I can drink heavily, but I have to go to I Declare at 5. So
Oh, tonight's your night.
tonight is my night. So
Yeah.
late. How about
Is this going to
sometime?
be your last night there, or do you know yet?
I don't know yet.
You haven't heard?
No, I have not.
Okay, you need some more bitch be gone spray.
I have some in the other room.
I would be spraying that profusely. We're going to
Well,
talk about something really that has no resolution, and you can have an opinion about it, and you can have rules, and you can have boundaries, and I guarantee you that they will change and be violated, and you will have to adjust them and shift them because no no one size fits all.
no, it does not. So what
So,
is that little thing that says sometimes you just have to be done? Not mad, not upset, just done. But
mhm.
in your case,
In my case, I'm dealing with some issues in my family that involve not just me and not just my immediate family, but extended family. And I have chosen not to walk away, which I can. I actually have an extreme amount of control and power in this situation, but to wield it, I love that word, wield it. It's like wielding a sword.
mm,
To wield it would affect the lives of young people. And I have to, in all good consciousness, based upon my ethics, put them first.
and we had a rousing time around the fire pit Saturday night, and
We did.
we did, and two of the young people were there, and they had a delightful time. And I think I saw the True Kids come out,
Mhm. You did.
which is great. They were great, but I also saw, um, and this is no reflection on you, Deborah. I know you're frustrated, but when you said, "Do you want to adopt this young man for 6 years?" I was thinking, yeah, I probably would.
Well, I would too. The problem is that we don't have that option, you know? I mean, he's become a delightful person, an absolute,
Yes.
which at one time it was a huge question mark of whether that was going to happen or not. Um, you know, at the very best, blended families I think are difficult. I'm gonna wait a
They
minute.
are.
Let me backtrack that. I think at the best, families are just difficult, period.
Yes.
Now, I do know of people that have told me stories of delightful childhoods and delightful circumstances and blah, 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 blah. And I may or may not believe them. That doesn't really matter, you know? But frankly, myself and a million other coaches and a million thousand counselors and a million trillion psychiatrists would all be out of business if everybody had these idyllic childhoods that seem to rotate through Facebook and social media. Look at us. We're having a party. We're at Disney World. We're the perfect family.
There is no such thing.
I know. Makes me want to barf. I can't do that in real life. You know that? I cannot make myself vomit. I don't know how people do that.
No. But I tell you, it's certainly, I have thought about it more than once.
Vomiting?
No. The children that we have that we're speaking of.
Mm.
Because I'm thinking, you know, if I went all in on that, it would totally change my life.
Yeah, it does. Oh my God, it does. It so does. I'm torn about how much I want to talk about this because I think, as always, I am very, very committed to the idea that God has used me personally and given me personal experiences so that I could help others. Okay. At the same time, to fully express that, I have to share my experiences with people. And to fully share is difficult because I don't want to violate the privacy of other people in my life, friends, family, enemies,
But
whatever.
so let's talk about this. There are a lot of grandparents out there raising their grandchildren.
Yes, there are.
How?
And there are a lot of people our age that are also now great grandparents.
Yes.
That didn't used to be the norm, I don't think. Do you think that was the norm?
No, let's see. I was trying to think when my grandmother became a great grandparent. I
I
think
only
she
knew
was,
one. I only knew one great grandparent. She was an invalid practically when I knew her. And, I was very young and she was in her 90s. And I was not the oldest grandchild. I was kind of in the, so
well,
she
I
didn't
was
even,
almost the youngest, but I remember my grandfather's mother.
yeah.
And she was in a wheelchair by then, but she had her faculty. She was not, there was nothing, she didn't let the fly land on her at all.
Well, I don't think my granny had her faculties because I don't think very many people in my family have their faculties. So we can't hold that against her because of her age.
Oops.
It's a genetic thing. It's genetics. I'm gonna turn this off. Maybe that, yeah, now I'm not so washed. Well, shit. I'm wound up today.
When are you not?
Um, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. I don't know.
But we had a good time Saturday night, didn't we? What we did Saturday night is a small, very small group of us sat around outside. It was chilly. We all had a little jacket on, and we had a very nice fire pit, thanks to our friend Crystal. And we had our djembe and other drums out, and they were drumming. Luann was drinking, and I was dancing. And it was fun.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry I didn't get a picture of the dancing.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't. I'm not sure so, my body still moves, but my feet don't. And it's because when it's in the dark and I'm on uneven ground, I don't trust my knees since I've had both knees replaced. I don't trust myself to be stable, but those hips get to going.
Well, it was a great time, and I think that we worked in some interesting conversations with talking about careers and where kids wanted to go with their careers and what do they need to think about if they really wanted to do that, and you know, is it a certificate? Is it a 2-year college? Is it a 4-year degree? So there was lots of interesting conversation while we
You
were
need,
enjoying ourselves.
yeah. And we used to take our kids to drum jams when they were little, and because why? Because my Christian friends all think I'm a pagan. So no, and my pagan friends think I'm a weird Christian. So I enjoy lots of things that combine mind, body, and spirit. And there's
Right.
nothing more exhilarating to ground you than drumming. It will ground you so beautifully. And
I
then
agree.
once grounded, you can have some really spiritual experiences as well.
Well, I just liked the fact that we were having a casual conversation, and then we would have drumming, then we would have more conversation, and
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I didn't know if you would be bored, or you
no,
know, kids there. And not that we did anything different with them there. I do not coddle my children or my grandchildren, never have. They've always gotten the full me because I figured if they didn't get it at home, they would get it somewhere else without somebody directing it and explaining it. So,
right. And I know one of the things that I have had a conversation about recently is um, being a step parent and how they tried to step in and really direct the child when they were younger and try to help them grow, and were overshadowed by the biological parents saying no.
well, and you bring up a really good point. The direct point of that is whether you're a step parent or not, parents in general, if you're not on the same parenting page and you're sending mixed messages, you are actually, in my opinion, doing more harm than if you're too strict or if you're too lenient because you're sending this horrible mixed message. And the message that's on the foundation of that is that I can't trust either of you parents because you don't know what the hell you're doing. And
Yes.
the conversation I've had in my own family with children that have been involved in families that I have coached and families that I have, helped through when I was working with NAMI is if they don't trust the parents, whatever was this issue at this level now goes to this level or higher because children have got to feel safe. And if they don't trust their parents to make good decisions, they don't feel safe.
That was my concern about the two young men that we talked about, is that are they going to be safe? Because I felt my mother mode coming to, you know, to it to say, if you're not safe where you are, you can be safe with me.
Well, we're going to move away from that, but I'm going to make one statement. That's what I do.
Hmm.
And
Well, when
um,
I had my little niece, uh, actually, she's a cousin. She was young. She was 2 or 3 when she came to live with us, and her mother, and her mother. And so it was difficult because she was the lenient parent, and I had to be the parent that was not fun. And I'm not, I resented that.
well, thank you, because that was going to be the next thing I brought up. One of the things I was very pleased about this weekend and getting to do with two of the grandkids was be the fun grandparent because for a very, very long time, I've been the disciplinarian, I've been the mediator, I have been the trainer, I've been everything but a grandmother in some level or another with one or all three of the grandkids during our entire relationships. And the other grandparents get to be the front grandparents. They go and because they don't, for one thing, they don't see them as much. I have to say that they don't see them as much. But the reason I see them as much as I do is number one, I live close to them. And two, I am involved in all these aspects of their life.
Mhm.
And I get very resentful of that, and I think I'm mad at the other grandparents, and then I realize, well, it's not their fault. So I don't even know who I'm mad at. I'm just mad, which is
Yeah,
kind of
mad at the
talk.
situation. How did it get out of hand like this? Mad at, because one of the things I told this young person when she was a part of my life was that finally one day she came home so upset, and I said, "Do not worry. You are safe here. You are safe with me.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to happen to you today as long as you're here with me."
Well, that's one of the things that actually carries me through when I get tired because I'm too old to be doing some of this stuff in my mind. But all of the kids in my family tell me they trust me.
Mhm.
I think that's huge. I
Well,
trust you.
just that
I think
you tell them exactly how you feel, and you tell them these are the consequences. If you do this, this will happen. And so when they do that, you enforce it.
But the good part about Saturday, oh, what the hell's going on here? My screen just, oh, there it is. I lost you. I
Zoom
was,
updated today and
I was
left us
alone.
with some interesting little knickknacks.
I was alone and lost. No,
I need a haircut. Okay,
so
but it's
so
we're all
what I
taking responsibility in one way or another.
yes, but what I was glad about, what I was going to say was what I was glad about is that the kids got to see me relaxed. They got to see me in an environment that I very much love. And they got to see me being goofy and having a glass of wine, which I don't normally drink wine, but I actually enjoyed it the other night,
Hmm.
and dance and being more of who I really am that they don't get to see, which is I'm very much a free spirit. I am so free spirited, I can walk down the street naked and not think twice about it.
Okay.
Seriously, you know, I just, I was always the kid going, let's go skinny dipping. All right, let's go do this. All right. I mean, as long as I knew I wasn't going to die or go to jail, I was up for anything. And I still am pretty much, as long as it's before 10.
Oh my God, that's funny.
And I just felt like it was, I don't know if they even noticed, frankly, I don't know. But it was nice for me to be in a position where I was being me, just being me,
Uh-huh.
and they were them, and it was just being, just being.
Well, maybe they realized that.
So anyway, I don't want everybody to think that my whole life is sucking with my family right now. We're like anybody else. My family as a whole is struggling, and we're all having to step up to.
I don't think your family's the only one.
Oh, I think they all are in
I
some
think
way or another.
there are many families struggling.
Ignoring it. They are blind, they are ignoring it, and they need to get a clue phone.
Well, even Robert and I are having not arguments, but discussions about what is the next step for us. Um, we're roommates, and neither one of us really like being roommates, because we have a personal life that we don't want to share with our mother and our son, you
I could
know.
not be my children. I actually have been pretty impressed with the two of you.
We get along very well, and we talk things out, and I just put things on the table for him to understand. So we have been talking about finding our own spaces.
Well, you and I will discuss that more later.
Yeah, but he said, at this point, his best friend's brother is moving out, and there will be a room available with them. And then his other best friend wants to move out of his house. And so there was some discussion about maybe they could get a bigger house and the three of them share. Now, one of the young men is married with a child.
Oh, I
But
think that would be difficult.
Robert and his other friend are single. But they don't party and stuff like that anymore. They don't.
No, that's not why I think it would be difficult. I had a roommate and it was, and he and I stayed friends for many years, and we're still very distant friends. But I had a roommate years and years ago that had a child, and he wound up coming out as gay. So we were strictly roommates, okay? And so he was getting a divorce because he realized he was gay, and he had a son, and so his son was with us, half the week as roommates, and you get attached. And so when we were no longer roommates, I missed his camaraderie as an adult, but it was really difficult not to be around his son because I got attached, and maybe that's not an issue for most people, but that was an issue for me.
Well, I
And
think Robert and his other single friend are attached to the other friend's child. She's just adorable. I mean,
yeah,
if I was living in the same house, I would be attached. I mean, she's
well,
just smart as a
so
whip, and
relationship defaults or they grow in separate ways, then you're dealing with the loss of a relationship with a
Mhm,
child that you have grown to love. And
mhm.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take that option and that, but I definitely would caution people, be aware that that's a possibility, and
Well, these three
especially.
guys have been very close since high school, and they're in their 30s now.
But see, that's wonderful because I frankly believe, okay, being an investigator, I've worked in law for many, many years, and I have come to this conclusion that anytime a child is involved and there is an adult, whether it's a parent or whoever, who's been involved in helping to raise that child and parent that child, it should be law that if the adults want to end their relationships, so be it. But they are required by law to stay within 15 miles of each other, and there has to be shared visitation
Mm-hmm.
and shared responsibilities that are
Mm-hmm.
enforceable by law both ways until that child is maybe 13 or 14. I'm not going to say 18, but old enough to make their own decisions about their own relationships and whether they want to sustain those or not.
Right.
Think
Well,
about the difference in family dynamics of divorced families if the divorced parents had to stay close for the sake of the children.
I have seen one divorced couple co-parent like they are superheroes.
Well, good for them. Good
They
for them.
they communicate together. They stay on the same page. When they text the three of them together because the child is old enough now to participate in, she's 15 now. So, um, but when she was 4, from the time she was 4 till now, they have done nothing but be on the same page, talk to each other in civilized manner. Their whole goal in life is her well-being.
See, that's the way it should be because we're dealing with people that are not capable of taking care of themselves, children. And, they're now telling us that based upon the science of the brain, they're not even able to make good decisions till they're 26 years old. And we're
Oh,
fucking them up before they're even
yeah.
12.
Well, I have just never seen it I have never seen it like this before, and I stay in awe of their abilities to do it. And sometime one or the other kind of gets off the page, and the other one will go, just a minute.
I want to take a chill pill, take a
Yeah,
deep breath, get a shot of bourbon, and let's talk. You like my feather?
yeah.
But I saw the funniest thing about this. It's kind of funny. I watched that Reba McEntire movie, The Hammer. I love Reba. I love Reber. She's not a great actress. I will never defend her acting, but I just love her. So I enjoy watching her. And I needed to laugh because I just watched George and Tammy series finale and was feeling my heart out. That is such a tragic story. That is such a tragic love story. And it reminds me a lot about my second husband that died. So, I was taking it very personally, but I digress. So she's a judge in this movie. And before her is a father who is $10,000 behind in child support. And she goes, I could put you in jail, but what good would that do? You wouldn't have a job and you wouldn't be able to pay child support. So for the next 6 months, you're going to work 40 hours a week at your ex-wife's house. You're going to cook, you're going to clean, you're going to paint, you're going to do the yard work. You're going to do whatever she tells you to do until you get a 40-hour-a-week job where you can start paying her money. And if in 6 months you haven't found a job, you're going to do this for another 6 months, but she's going to get her money's worth out of you.
Whoa.
Good. I loved it. I thought that's great. That's great. You can't make people treat children a certain way. You can't make them be good parents. Let me put it that way. You cannot make people be good parents, but by God, you can get a pound of flesh out of them if you need to. I love that. I did.
Well, it's my fault, but neither one of their parents, my children's parents, had to participate in any way. And it's my fault. Huh?
You participated?
I participated. I'm talking about fathers that didn't participate.
Oh, well, same here. Scott adopted both my kids, and the other two, we call them sperm terrorists. They're not sperm donors. Donors means you give lovingly and willingly. These are sperm terrorists. They just sprinkled it everywhere and let the bombs fly and land where they lay.
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't try. I tried with both of them to bend over backwards to make it easy for them to participate, and they just refused. So that's just a lack of character. And the only thing I can say to women that get sperm terrorists like that is that someone should have taught us how to pick better at an early age instead of making us go through World War V and VI and VII to finally figure out who are our allies and who are our enemies.
Yeah, I didn't choose well.
So, but I'm not going to beat myself up about that either. I didn't recognize they had character flaws doesn't mean I'm a bad person or an ignorant person or a stupid person.
You know as well as I do that people hide themselves.
Well, my gay husband certainly did. For 5 years. Yeah. He was poking anything that would bend over, and I didn't know. I suspicioned, I tried to catch him at it, and accused him of it. And then I finally found out for sure. And you know what I did? You know what I did? You know what I did?
Tell the story that you're not going to tell?
Yeah.
Isn't that the story that you're not telling?
No, I love telling this story. I stole his boyfriend away from him.
Okay.
Took his little boyfriend. Seriously, I set out I had a goal. This is not a good side of me. But I don't care.
Well, we all have, I don't know. Do you feel like it was vengeance or was it just, let me show you how it works or,
I didn't, okay, so that would just be giving me way too much credit saying I thought about any of it. It just felt good. I was so hurt because I had been lied to, cheated on, made to feel stupid. He was a master at gaslighting and ghosting people and put me in a position where I was actually seeing a counselor because I thought I was losing my mind.
Because you thought something was wrong with you?
Yes, because, this is a silly example, but it's a really good one. We were both in the same field and we worked together sometimes, and we worked separately. And he would like go off to another city to work on a case and call me collect from that city, right? Okay, so on the bill next month, if you're in San Antonio working, then you call home collect. We should have a collect call from San Antonio, right?
Correct.
Well, we would have a collect call saying that he was in Houston or he was in Odessa. He was anywhere except the city he was supposed to be in. So first off, number one, we had cell phones at that time. We had those big briefcase phones and we had calling cards. Why is he even calling me collect? Why? Because he wants it to show up on the bill. He wants it to be on the bill. And why
Yes.
is he's in one city when he's in another? Because he wants me to go stark raving mad.
Because he wants you to know without him telling you.
And he wants me to question my own sanity, though. Okay. Well, no, I didn't say this where I was. The phone company made a mistake. He literally said the phone company made a mistake.
Not usually.
I'm not defensive for people that like to read body language. I'm cold. This is a converted garage office and it's not well insulated and I didn't turn the fireplace on and I'm cold. So don't be reading anything into my body language.
Oh. Hmm.
Anyway, so he wound up with a little boy toy and cute as a bug, just really good looking guy. And so this husband of mine was 6 years younger than me, and his boy toy was 6 years younger than him. So that made him 12 years younger than me. So I took him away. I seduced him, took him away.
So did the husband finally come to a understanding
Of what?
that he was screwing up?
No, we got a divorce. What are you talking about? I don't know. Understand this question. I'm
Well,
not following the line of thinking here.
if you're constantly lying to your wife and you have a boyfriend and the wife takes the boyfriend away, it just seems to me like that would give the husband a clue that he's not doing something correct.
Oh,
Like
no.
being honest, open, this is what's happened to me, this is how I feel.
Well, no.
Okay.
No. Here's what's hilarious about the story. He divorced me. He had divorce papers served on me on my birthday
Well, that's special.
because I stole his boyfriend away. And so then I told everybody we were getting a divorce because he was gay.
You
And
outed him.
I outed him. And so his response to that was he sued me for slander. Now,
What? What?
okay, now I have to give credit due where it's due. Okay. This guy was good. And this is one of the reasons why I married him because he was so smart. I loved spending time with him. I loved the conversations that we had. He was an intelligent person and he was thought provoking. And we did bounty hunting together and investigations. We had a good time. But I had two attorneys. I had my divorce attorney and then my civil attorney defending me in the slander suit. And he represented himself in both cases. And he won the slander suit and got a judgment for $1 million against me. That's how good he is. He beat the pants off my attorney. And I'm going to tell you right now, it devastated that attorney so bad he quit law.
Wow.
He did. He went into real estate.
Wow.
At least I was told that. I haven't confirmed that. I was told that's what happened.
Oh my God.
So,
Well, that's craziness.
yeah, it's a ring tell tutor story.
Wow. So, how could it be slander when it's true?
because he said it wasn't true.
But
And
you had,
I didn't have video. I didn't have video. I didn't have any physical evidence to prove it. And even though I had affidavits from two of his ex-boyfriends, that was he said documentation. And there was rumors that the judge was very pro for the gay community because they were not out yet. So who knows? Who knows? Later on, he shoot, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Anyway, he wrote he let go.
recanted?
He let go of the debt and let go of the judgment, and and of course he was never going to collect that. But I got absconded. I mean, not absconded, but we got rid of the judgment. Okay, that was part of a settlement deal that we had later on in our lives, where I got what I wanted, and that was part of what I wanted, was to get rid of that judgment. So now the question you need to ask is, why would he do that? Well, Luann, let me tell you.
Yes, tell us, Deborah.
He owed $100,000 in back child support and was about to go to jail. So I got him to agree to relinquish all his parental rights, and I released him from his debt of child support. I don't think you can do that now, but then you could. So I released him of that. He had to release the judgment and then sign away his parental rights so that Scott could adopt my daughter. And that's what happened. So I always tell her I bought her for $100,000.
Wow, okay. Well, I think that there are instances that many of us females would go lengths to make sure our children and our grandchildren are taken care of.
Well, and I think that this is just a very slight example of some of the things that I've heard, the extremes that people have gone to. And I think some of the most, Sally Field made a movie about this years and years ago, that Not Without My Daughter. I'm so proud of myself. I remember that name. And she married a man from another country and was living in that country. And he just flip-flopped in his personality and went back to his traditional values, which she could not abide by, and felt like she was a prisoner in that country. And she kidnapped her own daughter, and they left the country to come back to America and risked her life. She could have been imprisoned by the laws of that country if they had caught her and all this other stuff. So there's some real heroes out there in the female community in regards to their children. They are. And there are some real men that are heroes, because I don't think that the statistics prove out that the ratio is equal, but there are a lot of women that abandon their children and the men take care of them. And then the men and the women abandon the children. That's why we have so many grandparents raising kids now.
Right.
So I don't get it. I don't know how they.
Well,
I don't know how. I don't know how they
when
can
I
abandon.
decided that I would have children, regardless of what happened, I think that I think it was a matter of, I decided that I would sacrifice for my children. Sacrifice my single life, sacrifice being in, doing things a certain way, that I made the sacrifices because I decided they were more important.
See, I never thought of it as a sacrifice, but I'm kind of obtuse in my thinking at times. To me, it's like saying it's a sacrifice to give up my freedom so I can have a 9-to-5 job. Well, you have that 9-to-5 job because you want the money. So It's not really a sacrifice. It's just a choice that you made.
Yeah, it's a
And
choice.
and so I chose to have children. And I really did choose to have children because when I had Joshua, I wasn't married. I was a single parent with Joshua in his early years. And so it was like, okay, this is what it takes to raise a child. And I was pretty clear about what that took because I had been abandoned by my own father and knew what that felt like
Mm-hmm.
and knew what I liked about my childhood and what I didn't like about my childhood and what I wanted to recreate for my children and what I did not. So to me, it wasn't a choice. It was just a commitment. It was, it was a choice
Well,
and then I
I
committed.
think that's right. It is a commitment, and it's what you decide. You
Exactly.
know, it,
You know,
no, I'm going to be this child's parent, and I'm going to do the very best that I can do. But as far as making sacrifices, I only really felt like I made one. And of course, it was a choice to take a 9 to 5 job instead of staying in the operating room.
right, right. You have to make compromises.
Because I felt that I needed to be with them when they were not in school.
Right, right. I get that. I do. And this is kind of way off topic, but it really isn't. With the loss of abortion rights that we have right now in the country, what I think about is if women are having children that they don't want to have,
Mm-hmm.
and we hear stories where, I didn't want to be pregnant and I hated being pregnant. And then I saw you and I fell in love with you the minute I saw you. I think that that's true for some people, but it's also not true for some people. And if we're forcing women to have children that they don't want, and even if the law says they have to do this and they have to do that and they have to do this, just what kind of parenting are they going to put out there? What kind of energy? If energy follows thoughts and they're resenting that child, you know.
Right.
So
Uh,
what are we doing? What are we really doing here with all these damn laws that we're throwing out there about humanity in general?
um, I don't know. Um, first of all, there is adoption. If you truly do not want to raise a child, please don't hold on to that child because you think you have to.
Yeah, but don't you think, Luann? I first of all, I agree with what you said. Okay, but don't you think that if the government's going to interfere with the rights of women to make the decision of whether she wants to be pregnant or not, that the minute she gets diagnosed being pregnant, hey, lady, you've got a baby in your belly, then do you want this child? Yes or no? No. Then the minute that person checks no, then we put them into a process of, of facilitating the adoption and organizing it for them and taking not the responsibility of choice away from them, but the choice that they have now made, making it easily accessible to them. If you're going to take away their choice of saying yes or no to life, and you want that life perpetuated, don't you think that now we as a society through our government has an obligation to facilitate that?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm passing the plate. I'm preaching it good today.
Yes, I think that if we can't, if I don't have a choice to terminate a pregnancy, then I should have a choice about whether I raise this child or not.
Exactly. With no preaching, teaching, guilt, shaming, none of that.
None of those labels.
I mean, seriously, I mean, didn't we give up the idea of shame and guilt when we said it was okay for women to have babies and not be married? Didn't,
You
and
would
and
think
that
so.
became the accept. I mean, look how many marriages where the people have the baby first and then they get
And
married
then
when
they
the
get
child,
married.
yeah, they want the child to be old enough to be the flower girl or the ring bearer.
In 1981, when my first child was born, they refused me any extra services or gifts or giveaways because my child did not have a father.
Well, they refused to put my child's father's name on the birth certificate because I was not married. I had to go to court to get that changed. So they intentionally labeled my son a bastard.
Yes.
And I wasn't having it. I just was not having it.
Well,
now, wait a minute. Let me add this to the picture. When I went to the hospital, we were already enemies. And this was Baylor, downtown Dallas, because that's where my doctor worked out of. They wouldn't let me in the hospital because I had no insurance. And my doctor says, we're going to deliver this baby. And if I have to deliver this baby on the front steps of this hospital, I'm calling every major television network in the country to come videotape it. Now you can let her in, or we can do that. But the baby's going to be born on your premises one way or the other.
surprise.
Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously, I don't think people understand the true reality of where we've been, what we've gone through, and how they're really opening the doors to send us back to that.
No, they don't. And that's because you had a room full of men making this decision.
Stupid men. You left out stupid. A room full of stupid men.
And they were not open for discussions. And they didn't bring women in to find out what their opinions were.
Nobody asked me my opinion. No one called me.
They didn't ask one woman. And they were actually deciding about what I could do and what I can't do.
So we start out with the topic of when is enough enough? The answer is it's already enough. We're tired.
Yeah,
And
we're pretty tired.
network, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I'm all, I'm all about people that want to do sit-ins and marches and all that. And hey, guys, that they did that in the 60s and we did it in the 70s, and we're still here doing this again. So that's not enough. So what does it take? Does it take anarchy? Does it take what does it take? What does
it may even stem as far as saying term limits. I know that sounds like it's off subject, but it is not, because you have
trying to figure out what you just said. What did you say?
Term limits in Congress.
Oh no, I yes, please, because I'm
Because
gonna tell you right now,
have people in there that are making a career out of this, and they're the ones who are making the decisions about our uterus.
well, and I'm going to tell you right now, here in Texas, if people don't understand what just happened here in the past 4 years with Mr. BETO running for any office except dog catcher just because he could run, if they don't understand what that means to the quality of politics that we have right now, that people will just run for whatever they think they can get elected for. Why? Why? It was not because of his devotion to the law of the land or to changing. He just wanted somebody give that man a title. He just wants a title.
I am not going to voice my opinion. A lot of times I feel like young men, young women who want to go into Congress want to make a difference. But once they get there, they're so bogged down in what's happening there with people who've been there for 30 years that nothing happens.
Well, you have to congratulate a lot of them for the size of their ego. When you go through 12 votes and you just finally where everybody, be my friend, please, I'll give you a piece of gum if you'll be my friend and vote yes for me. Be my friend, please, just for one vote, be my, oh my God.
Why can't we just vote somebody else in? Why do we have to vote him in?
I don't know. Why can't we go back to England and be under the parliament and the
Oh,
monarch?
please. We don't want that.
It couldn't be any worse. Seriously, could it be any worse?
It may not happen in our lifetime, but there's going to be another civil war. There's going to be another uprising, and it's going to involve a war with guns and families and people, and it's not going to be pretty.
See, I think there's going to be a war, but I don't think it's going to be with guns. I think it's going to be with money. It's going to be with money and class and power. And we've already seen the beginning of it. Because look who's really running the show around here.
But that's not who we want running the show.
No, we don't. No, and I have a theory why all this is happening.
We
No.
we want people who are looking at integrity and using that integrity to help those of us who are struggling.
Well, do you know why I think this is all happening the way it is?
No.
Because men are mad as hell because they're circumcised as babies. And they feel like they've been unempowered, but with the loss of that little piece of skin, and they spend the rest of their lives trying to get it back.
Yeah.
Crack myself up.
Okay.
What?
I'm done.
All right. Howdy,
I'm not
ma'am.
mad. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm just done.
Well, yes, ma'am. We're pert near. Thank you, ma'am.
And
Howdy do.
I hope that we have made you think today. So be careful because we're talking again.
We are, and we'll see you next week. And we're going to figure out a schedule that she and I both can live with, because we're going to let y'all start calling in and start joining us.
Yep. Giving
You know
your
why?
opinion.
Because we're crazy like that.
Yeah. Yep, we are.
All right. Good to see y'all.
All right.
Bye, Tater.
Bye. Love you.
Love you. Where's the button?